If mountains could move across the surface of the earth, our world would look more like a living, shifting landscape than the stable planet we know today. Mountains are currently formed by plate tectonics and volcanic activity, and once they rise, they remain fixed in their locations for millions of years. But imagine if they had the ability to travel like giant, rocky creatures, drifting or marching across the continents. This moving geology would completely reshape ecosystems, cities, and even human history. The first thing to consider is the scale. Mountains can weigh trillions of tons, reaching heights of several kilometers. If such colossal structures started moving, their momentum alone would cause massive destruction. A mountain shifting across a valley would crush forests, rivers, and everything in its path. Cities near their route would disappear under rock and debris, creating the need for humanity to treat mobile mountains as living natural disasters. Earthquakes would no longer be sudden jolts from underground tectonic forces, but constant tremors caused by a mountain dragging itself across the crust. Rivers and lakes would constantly be reshaped by their passage. Picture the Himalayas sliding a few meters every year, damming rivers like the Ganges or Indus, creating new lakes, or even redirecting entire water systems. Floods would become unpredictable, and water cycles essential for life would shift dramatically. Agricultural zones that depend on stable environments would be destroyed and recreated elsewhere. The Earth's climate itself might change, since mountains play an important role in air circulation and rainfall patterns. If they kept moving, they would cause storms in one region today, and then greener climates in another tomorrow. Humans, of course, would struggle to survive in such a world. Civilizations built near mountains like those surrounding the Andes, the Alps, or the Himalayas would live with constant fear. Ancient cultures that once revered mountains as eternal and immovable symbols of the divine would instead see them as unpredictable, wandering giants. People might adapt by learning to predict a mountain's path, creating migration-based societies that moved with the mountains like nomads once followed herds of animals. The myths, religions, and folklore of such cultures would portray mountains as restless gods walking across the earth instead of timeless guardians. Economically, moving mountains would make mining and resource extraction chaotic. A mountain rich in gold or diamonds could travel across territories, sparking conflicts as nations fought to claim ownership of its resources before it shifted away. Borders drawn on maps would constantly change, since a wandering mountain could cross from one country to another, leaving disputes in its wake. Technology might even evolve to try and influence or slow down their movement. Giant machines, magnetic systems, or even weapons designed to push or divert mountains from populated regions. The animal kingdom, too, would face endless adaptation. Some species might evolve to live on the mountains as they moved, turning them into mobile ecosystems much like massive floating islands. Birds, goats, and mountain-dwelling predators would follow their territory as it slowly slid across land. Over millions of years, species might even evolve to depend on these traveling landscapes, creating ecosystems that were nomadic on a planetary scale. From a geological perspective, the crust itself would be deeply unstable. If mountains could move freely, it would mean the Earth's surface was far more flexible than it is today. Instead of strong, rigid continental plates, it would behave more like a fluid layer, always reshaping, always shifting. that would likely make the planet unrecognizable, with continents changing form much faster than we know. The Earth's face would constantly erase and redraw itself, leaving little room for permanent settlement. Finally, let's imagine this beyond Earth. Planets with moving mountains would look alive and ever-changing, perhaps resembling creatures instead of static worlds. If scientists discovered such planets with telescopes, it would challenge the very definition of geology and biology. Would those shifting mountains be considered part of the land or more like living beings? In the end, a world where mountains could move across the surface would be one of chaos, but also of constant wonder. Stability, permanence, and predictability, three things we rely on, would vanish. Life would become a story of perpetual adaptation. Civilizations would rise and fall in the shadows of wandering giants, and Earth itself would be seen not as a stable home, but as a restless, roaming land forever in motion.